I'm back again. So on tonight's episode of whatever this is, we're back in the interior after nearly setting fire to it a couple of times. And I'm going to stop doing that, well, maybe a little bit. So this is the next bit. Probably one of the last things before we start really, well, we start cladding again and start really seeing some big differences. Anyway, so air conditioner's got to go in here. It's going to be recessed into this area up here. It's not an easy one. You can see my head really just misses this. So, yeah, we could bring it out, but actually I want it flush in here because I want probably the option to build it in like a fancy one so you don't see it, but we'll see how we go with that because we are restricted a little bit with space. So let's get on with it. Alright, I'll get these parts cleaned up and I'll come back to you when we start welding. Alright, so we have the corners lined up. Now, I'm 99% sure this is going to fit. If it doesn't, it's made like this because we're going to utilise the bottom of the existing box. So all I have to do is, once this is welded, is pretty much scribe a line around it, whip around it with the plasma cutter, and it's done. But this is pretty much the start of it. I've got a feeling we'll probably end up trimming this little bit off. I've left it long. It's not a big deal. Anyway, we'll get on and start welding it, tack welding it together. We'll get it sort of in. We'll try not to get too much heat into it to warp it, and then yeah, we'll get stuck into the bus and gas is expensive. Okay, there you have it. It's cleaned up-ish. Well enough. I'm no welder, and I got welders in the family. They'd probably say, Stu, that looks like shit. And I'd say, yeah, there's a couple there that look a bit iffy. Once I got the welder dialed in, it was welding quite nicely. Catch with any sort of sheet metal work, 2 mils not bad. Weld in sections. So you can see there, each weld is, I don't know, 100 mil long. You could go shorter. This hasn't bent, it hasn't twisted because you know, it's got bends in it and bits and pieces. This has stayed relatively flat. But the point is that you weld in sections and that will evenly spread the heat. That means that the heat will, the part will soak up the heat, if you get my drift, slowly but surely, rather than I could have run along here, done this weld in one hit, right? The sheet would have just said, look, get stuffed, and probably twisted and bent. But if you generally look straight down there, that's stayed relatively straight. It's pretty good. There will be a bit of angle along here, I'm thinking, at some point, and the bottom stayed pretty good too. So coming over here to the air conditioning unit, see, and I'm being really fastidious. I'm not taking it out of the plastic just yet, but this bracket, this is going to be a nightmare to fit. I'm going to have to cut an access hole in that pelmet. That was the word I was looking for today. Pelmet. Pelmet? Pelmet will do. Pelmet will work. So anyway, I'm wondering if there's any fridgies sort of watching going, oh, for God's sakes, Stu. But there's your connections. As you saw in the last video, we'd already run all that piping, so that's all sitting in there. So what we're going to do, we're just going to have a rough measure, and I'm going to probably cut, just checking behind there, oh yeah, don't need a screw there because there's 9 million screw holes. We'll probably rivet the bracket on anyway. But yeah, I'm just going to cut this little section out here so that we can centrally locate the bracket, and that gives me access to the pipework behind it. I'm probably going to bend this out a little bit, and then the air conditioning and the copper pipes will come in around the back of that tub, not through the side, around the back, and the drain will do the same. Okay, we made a mess. Don't worry about that. All that. That'll come out, don't worry. But this is kind of the hole. It's actually turned out a little bit better than I thought. Unusual. So we're going to start test fitting, and this is probably where we start finessing and, you know, all that rubbish. So I'll quickly whip out and grab the box. If it fits first go, I'm buying a lotto ticket, but I don't think it will. All right, bear with me. Okay, well, it doesn't. The hell did I measure off? What I do is just. It's very close. All right, well, I've had enough for the night. I could keep going, but get back to it tomorrow. But anyway, it's fitted. Oh, it's another day. I skipped filming the other night because I'm trying to keep these short and interesting, or shorter and interesting. So we've test fitted the box a couple of times. This is the final cutout. A couple of bits of angle in there. We'll rivet through to that. Probably doesn't need it. We're going to weld some angle through there, sorry, and box this in later. So yeah, interesting. Just something. Oh, sorry. Something interesting, really, for all your cable penetrations is, or cable pipe. I've used them for everything, but these are called a cable bush. It's a 50mm bush. You can get them in all sorts of sizes. Middendorps sell them. Yeah, you have to buy them. They are separate, right? It's ridiculous. I've always thought it's ridiculous, but anyway, they are separate, so you have to buy a male and a female. But you can see there's one installed here, and they just squeeze up and they give you a nice smooth thing. It's not going to rub pipes or cables. You can see some older ones up there actually. So yeah, really good tip for any penetrations through metal. they're fairly cheap. I think you can buy them in boxes of 25 or something if you really need to, or you can buy them individually depending on your needs. So anyway, all right, I'm just going to get on and get these installed, and I think we're going to get some of this piping into position. I hope I left enough AC pipe. I'm not sold yet, but anyway, so we're going to struggle and get that in there. All right, stick with us, let's get into it. Alright, so while I didn't have the camera rolling, I just sort of went ahead and tied up a few things. So that's all in there now. The drain is there. The carpet will slip out from under that. I'm happy to leave a bit of carpet just here. It just stops that drain rubbing. It's no big deal. That's all going to get covered up by cowling cover anyway. So the drain runs around there like that. Don't worry, it'll get covered. No way in hell I'm going to be looking at that. But it was probably the easiest way to get a nice line with a little bit of fall in it. Although it's probably pretty well flat around here, doesn't matter. But yeah, rather than trying to get over everything, we just weren't going to get enough fall, and I was not going to put a pump in there because that's just ridiculous. So there it is. And yeah, we'll eventually probably resheet this with something maybe. I'm just thinking about that. We're not 100% set on it just yet. But this will get covered. You won't see this. This will get covered along here. So there's a piece that goes over there that covers all that, and then I'll just make a new piece that sort of goes across there, fills that space up there as well. So anyway, it's enough of me yabbering. What have I stood on? Just an extension lead. Time, well, the moment is here. A lot of people will go through and strip all the wiring out, right? I have left it in, even though this will get a cover across here because there's no point using this space. I'll cover this across here, but I can still get in here if I need to and use any of that. That probably would have been the VCR control there. And you'll probably find this is a 24 volt supply to the inverter that was here that used to run the TV and the VCR. So that's a good supply up there. I don't know what I use it for. Could be anything. Maybe a bit of lighting in here. But probably not. It's probably a little bit of overkill if we need it, or if we don't need it. But anyway, so yeah, you can rip a lot of wiring out of these, but I find some stuff, particularly that switch from the dash and things like that, just leave it in. It might help you out in the long run. Same here. There's all these cables here. They're the old speaker, saloon lighting speakers. Saloon lighting, right? It's still switched from the dash. And even though it's up in here and it can sit there, well, it will get reused because there is the AC duct and all that sort of stuff there, which has that saloon lighting in it. So that'll get plugged back in. Clever, yay. And same on this side. We have the same thing. We have all cabling here, which I've still got to neaten up a bit because this is going to interrupt some of the airflow. We just need to neaten that up, squash it up there. But same thing, that saloon wiring and all that sort of stuff will be reinstated just for this front portion. The front portion here will probably still operate a little bit like a bus. Anyway, I'm going to stop yapping. I'm going to get this thing fitted in and welded. so that's the, I don't know what you call it, I guess the cowling bit in. There's still a little bit of work to do in tidying all this up. We're going to make the backs for there and here, because that's going to be a long ways. But it's in, it's not going anywhere. We just need to work out what we're going to do here now, whether I need to trim out the bottom here. Yeah, something to still figure out. I got to take some measurements on the aircon units and just have a look. But yeah, pretty much done. So yeah, we'll just cut a new piece that covers, you know, that sort of bridges all this nicely, covers all this, covers all the hard work, I guess, all the untidy work. But yeah, so this is another hurdle out of the way. This part here really marks the end of construction as far as like framing and all that sort of stuff. So on Monday I'm going to go and have a look at go to a signage place, and we're going to look at some aluminium composite sheet. We're not sure if we're going to sheet everything in it, but we probably will, because then you can, you know, you can put vinyl over the top of that with any sort of you know, pattern on it. That might be that's probably going to be the way we go. And yeah, that means finishing up probably the other kitchen plinth that goes here. There's actually quite that triggers quite a lot of things. We've got to come back here and grind all this back so it fits all the sheets, but that really doesn't take much. That's really a light touch with the grinder, just to pick up some of these spots. It's just is structure for the sheeting to go to. This is actually in the pantry, and a lot of this pretty much to here will probably be in overheads anyway. So the only real the only exposed piece is really in the top bunk here and in the master bedroom down the back here. So yeah, they're all nice and straight. It did get a little curly in a few spots, but that's actually all hidden in cabinetry. And then yeah, this will just duct the air nicely all the way to the front. Like I said, the 240 volt air cons, they are for when you're sitting still generally, and I couldn't see the point in not using you know, the existing coach air conditioning. Anyway, so enough from me. This video is probably long enough. I'm back filming, as I said in previous videos, and yeah, so you're going to start to see me wind towards the end in completing this. So thanks for watching. Can you see it yet?